All right, what is up? How we doing? Hope you guys are having a good Tuesday evening. It is another character tutorial here for Guilty Gear Strive, focusing on Axl Low. I'm RCB, and joining me, shout outs to the image that he provided to use this as well, the drip Axl with the fro. It's my dude DiverDownFGC. What's going on, Diver? How you doing, man?
What's up? I am not doing too bad. I'm really excited for this, just to like kind of show everybody why I've loved this character for so long, and just hopefully trying to get more people playing him, because I think he's super duper strong in this version of the game.
Yeah, it's funny because we'll kind of go over this a little bit and everything too, because I know like at first when you were playing this game you weren't too sure, and then like after the game officially releases everything, it's just like you just had like this about face about the character, like when it started clicking. And yeah, you've definitely been raving about Axl in this game since its launch.
Yeah, the big thing was it's really prevalent with Axl, and it's prevalent with a lot of characters in this game. So like no matter who you're playing, if they were in Xrd or if they were in like Accent Core or something, then you really need to go in with the mindset of this is Strive. You can't play your character the same as in previous iterations. At first, I didn't like Axl because I just wanted Xrd Axl 2, and this is very, very much not Xrd Axl. He's a very different character. He has the same kind of fundamentals, because they're not going to change the character that much, but he is still a very different character. So once I actually like reset my brain, and I was like, okay, this is a fresh character that I just happen to have like the blueprint for, then I started enjoying him a lot more.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I think a lot of people are like that too, especially once they kind of figured out how the characters work and everything. And like I said, we've now had this game for a month and a half now, so everyone's kind of got a good understanding of like how things work in the game now and everything. Obviously, yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about Axl. And like I said, I wanted to have Diver on for this because for those who may not know Diver, and I'll let him, kind of introduce himself a bit more and everything, he has been a legacy Axl player for a long time. Like you just heard him mention, he played Axl in Rev 2, he's playing him in this, and Diver's had some pretty solid runs with Axl. But yeah, Diver, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself to everyone else who may not know who you may be.
Yeah, so I've been an avid like outspoken lover of Axl for a long time. Even when throughout the entirety of Xrd, no matter which iteration it was like Axl never really went above mid tier. At best, he was mid tier. At worst, he was like bottom 5. But I picked up the character when Xrd Sign came out, the very first version, and like at first I wasn't really sure who I wanted to actually play. I was having a little bit of a character crisis, just going straight into the game. At first I wanted to play Soul, but like I didn't mesh with him super well. Like I was playing him, and like Sign Soul was insane, so I was scumming out wins, but I didn't really feel like I had found my character. So I forget if somebody actually recommended that I try Axl, or if I just like roamed the cast. I forget which one, but I just ended up picking up Axl at some point, and obviously he's a very weird character. I had played like Accent Core and whatnot before, but it was basically just me. Doing like training mode and stuff at home. I didn't like get into gear legit until Exarch came out. So there were a lot of points where I felt where I kind of felt stuck because I was basically trying to actually learn how to play gear itself for like outside of training mode environment, and like I had a bit of a rocky start, especially since I'm a bit younger. So when I picked up Exarch, I was like 15, probably around there.
Yeah, you're young.
So yeah, dude. Yeah, like I grew up with this character. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But like after a while, I just like it's a process just like anything else. So I just slowly started learning more and more about how gear works, about how Exarch works, and about how Axl works. And then like people barely saw me like shift from the character throughout the entire lifespan of Exarch. Like there were a couple of characters that I kind of played around with a little bit, but none of them ever really got to the level of my Axl, and I never really played them as much as Axl.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely understandable, because, I mean, yeah, this is a character that, and we'll get into it a little bit later, too, and everything, but, you know, you definitely had a way to separate yourself and your play style with Axl compared to other Axls, which is something I've always appreciated. I also hated, but I also appreciated. So
yeah, I heard that a lot.
So, all right, well, let's get into it. Let's talk about Axl Low in Guilty Gear Strive, and you know, let's kind of go over some of the basic things you want to do with this character if you're first picking up Axl. What are some like good starting blocks, some good starting points that you believe every new Axl player should utilize right out of the gate when it comes to developing their game plan?
So I think that the most important thing, if you're just picking up this character, is you need to learn your ranges. So Axl, obviously, he's the zoner of the game. He's a Dhalsim type character, and he has a bunch of different moves that cover specific angles. In prior Guilty Gears, it was a little bit easier to like scum people out with that because you had defaultless defense to block ground and normals in the air. Now that's not a thing in Strive anymore, but you still need to learn those ranges because even if they block it, you push them back out to full screen, and that is exactly where you want them. So you just need to become really familiar with your ranges, like learn your 5P. The big thing with 5P is it's got that really nice, like slightly angled up hitbox on it. But if you're a character with like a low to the ground dash like Soul or something like that, then you could just go right under it, and that sucks because then you got somebody in on you. And Axl in this game, his reversals, he doesn't really have very many of them anymore. Before he had like DP, he had guard points, he had stuff like that, but now he basically just has system mechanics and super. So that sucks. So don't let people run in on you. So you got that. You got the 6K, which kind of angles up forward. So if somebody's like trying to air dash at you or like playing around in the air, then you just hit them with that and then you just push them back out. So that helps out a ton. And then you got the 2S, which goes a little bit higher up, and it helps out a lot because you get combos off of it. So it has like that float on it. So you can kind of do stuff. Yeah, it's kind of like that. That's a really basic combo, but you can like push them back out to full screen, do stuff like that. So you got stuff like that. You got the 2P that it's not quite as good as the 5P, just like all purpose, but you gotta like you use that to kind of like check people's approaches, because again, you can dash under the 5P, but with the 2P, you can just check their ankles. You can just check their ankles and make sure that they're not getting in. Same thing with the 2H. 2H goes much further, but it doesn't have quite as much quite as quick startup on it. But fortunately, it does kind of have the hit stun, so you can like push them out, or if they're close enough that you get a combo like that. So you got stuff like that. You got the JS, everybody's favorite JS. This is like your mid to long range move. You want to constantly pester people with this. Obviously, you don't want to become like super duper reliant on it, because Axl's chains, they do have a hurt box on them, so people can just like if you're getting too like JS happy or something like that, then you could just get clocked for it, just like that. And he also has the JP, very good like air-to-air button if they're a little bit far away from you. If you're closer, then you want to do the JK, which it kind of covers the same area, but it's much faster. But if you're hanging around this kind of like mid range ish area, then you want to hit him with that JP. He also has a new JH, which hits like right underneath him. So that helps out a lot for like instant overheads or something like that. And also, if somebody's like trying to run in underneath you, then you can hit him with the JH into like drift down RC or something like that.
Yeah, it seems like it had a pretty good hitbox too, because there was that one instance there where you just did it. Soul was on the complete other side, and it still was able to hit behind him. Yeah,
it's a very strong move. It's very different from his previous JH, which was kind of like a little bit more of a close range air to air or like a jump in. But I feel like this is much better for how Axl wants to act in this game. Mm-hmm. So you got like all of this kind of stuff. You just basically, if you're starting off, you want to learn those ranges. You just want to learn what kind of trajectory each move has, and in what situations you want to use each normal. Mm-hmm. That's like the number one thing, and then after that you can kind of move on to the more slightly harder stuff, like learning how to use your special moves to pester people and stuff like that. But the most important thing, if you're first starting off, is just learn those trajectories.
Gotcha. All right, yeah, I think that's all good information for starting off and everything. I noticed there was one normal you kind of left out of that, and it's a button that I've always said it was your favorite button, and that's 6H.
Yeah. So we got 6H. It's an overhead. It's pretty nice. It's a bit of a shell of its former self in this game, which I mean, good, because it was a bit of a meme throughout all of Xrd. It was a strong move, but if you use it a little bit too much, then you would become what people like to call me. You would become like the Yahooligan. Mm-hmm. You would become a little bit of a crackpot. But in this game, it is still very good. It's not quite as good as it was before, because before it was on block. It was either +1 or +2, I forget, but it was definitely plus. In this game, it is -3 if you block it, and throws in this game are 2 frames. So if I space it badly, then you can just mash on throw, and it's a punish. Like it's a very strong move in this game. Not quite as strong as it was before, but you definitely don't want to get like too crazy with it. It is very notable in the fact that it low crushes because he jumps into the air. So if you do a low, then if you do a low, then he will go right over it, and he'll hit you with the big counter hit, and that's one of the like zoom in counters like that, and you get like big damage off. And it is also notable in the fact that it is his only wall bounce move. Axl is not really a character that does wall bounce combos all that much. That's one of like the really big things about Strive, is just getting like those big like wall bounce loops and stuff like that. I later on, once we get into like the more intermediate and advanced stuff, I'll mention what he actually wants to do, but he only has the one wall bounce move, and that is 6H, and it's a little bit of a weird juggle, because you can, like, obviously if I just do it raw like this, then it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna make a bounce. But if I juggle into it, then it will definitely do a bounce, and then you can get like a pretty beefy corner combo off of that.
Gotcha. By the way, Abyss, thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. 19 months, man. Thank you for that. Asked, when are we learning Kai? Eventually we'll learn Kai. So, but I wanted to definitely have Axl for the showcase tonight. So, all right. So that's kind of like a basic overview, like using his normals and everything. Now, what about his specials? Because I know, especially in this game, some of his specials kind of got changed a little bit. And it's kind of going back to what you were saying earlier with knowing your ranges with the normals and everything, stuff like that. You also need to know that with specials now too, right?
Yep. There were a lot of special moves that he had before that were taken out, either in favor of new special moves, or they were just taken out completely. And the ones that he kept, they kind of got altered a little bit. So we're gonna start off with like your new favorite combo ender, which is the 214H, the snail. This is a brand new move for this game. He kind of swings up in that arc, and like this move is really, really strong because his old combo ender, his whole old all-purpose combo ender, it functions differently in this game, so you can't really rely on it as much. Its purpose changed up a little bit, and I'll get into that after I talk about the new special moves. But Snail is really good because you can throw it onto like basically anything, any kind of combo. You can just go into that, and like it'll probably work. That being said, though, there is a new thing that they changed with Axl in this game. Because they enhanced his zoning capabilities so much, they had to kind of tone him down a little bit. So now he kind of has dead zones on his some of his chain specials and stuff like that. So like somebody is pressuring me with moves that I can go through with 6P. Like they're really up close, and they're just like pressuring me, and I can do 6P, and I can use the upper body invincibility to go through that. If you're like in this range right here, then it's unfortunate because you can get the 6P, and then it'll completely whiff. So that's a black beat combo, so it doesn't really work. People can get out of that pretty easily. So that's one of the rough things about the character, is just kind of learning about all of those new dead zones, because there are things like me for the first like 2 or 3 weeks of this game, I was definitely kind of autopiloting a little bit without and like I would just forget that the dead zones were there, and then I would just get punished for it because I autopiloted and somebody was inside of the dead zone.
Right.
So that's one thing that you gotta be careful with. One other thing about Snail is it has good range on it, and obviously it's a good combo ender, but it is very negative. I want to say it's like negative 15 or something like that, in around that ballpark. So if you block it, then like there's not a whole lot that he can do to kind of deal with that. Like, see, the Bandit Revolver, it's a fast move, but it's still a little bit on the slower side on account of it being a special move, and that punished it free. And don't do it against Soul, because you're gonna get Vortex and you're gonna die. So you definitely want to. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure that you're hit confirming into Snail. Don't use it as a poke or anything. You can use it as kind of a ghetto anti-air, but I wouldn't recommend it. There are definitely better moves that you can do for that. So if you're gonna do Snail, make sure it hits.
Now, is Snail also the move if you block it in the air, it brings the opponent into you?
It is not.
Okay. That's a different special, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it is. I believe that one knocks you back if you block it.
Oh, there's the dead zone you were talking about. Yeah, okay,
yeah, see, it pushes you back a little bit. And that can be good, but there's much better things that you can do in that situation. Last thing about Snail is you can also do it in the air, and it's a bit of a different special move. Like as you see the grounded version, it's kind of about like 2.5 character lengths away, something like that. And in the air, it goes out far. It goes out really, really far. That move is also super duper negative, but it helps because it sticks him in the air. It just like gets rid of all the momentum that he has. Like if you're doing an air dash or something, then he just stops. So that helps to kind of like throw off anti-airs and stuff like that. And also you can use it to kind of pester people out of your JS. That helps out a lot. But the air Snail, it's a little bit of a weird special move to get used to because it functions so differently from the grounded version. I still don't really use it as effectively as I could be, but it's definitely an important version of the special move to pay attention to. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I noticed it seems like that air version of Snail has a bigger dead zone too and everything. So you gotta be on point with where you're using that to make sure you don't end up whiffing it and then you're eating a big punish combo on your way down to the ground.
Yeah, and also like if you're going up against a character like Soul or something, like using Soul as the example, he could just weave into that dead zone, hit me with a JD, air dash cancel that, and then like bada bing, bada boom, he broke the wall, and now he's got all the meter.
And also a ton of damage.
Yeah, and a ton of damage. But that's that move. Snail is like I said, is going to be your new favorite move. Just don't use it like an idiot, and you will be a-okay. Moving on to the other new special move that you got, 214S, Rainwater. So this move is it's pretty noteworthy in the fact that it just shoots him back. Like he just jumps back and he kind of builds that space. Even though he's in the air, it does not hit as an overhead, but it does kind of build that space, and that's exactly what Axl wants. It does have a pretty significant dead zone on it, and they actually teach you in the mission mode, which everybody should play. The mission mode helps out with a lot of key parts of matchups. When he cancels a move into Rainwater, you can actually forward jump and you could just smoke him for it. Like it has a really big hitbox on it, but it doesn't have the hitbox like directly in front of him. So you can like I'm gonna do close slash into rainwater, and you can just jump forward, and then you can either hit me on my landing recovery, or if you're a character with really good air normals that you can kind of confirm off of, then you can hit him while he's in the air. But rainwater is a very, very good move. It's just you kind of, if you're playing against people who actually know the matchup, then it's you can't really just throw it out willy-nilly. But there are a few setups and whatnot that you can do that make it really shine. And also, if one of my favorite things to do is you because throws are so strong in this game, you just like run up on somebody, and it's kind of like a Street Fighter V shimmy where you run up on somebody and then they're like, oh, he's gonna run up to me and he's gonna grab me, and then you go into rainwater and then you just get this huge counter hit confirm off of it. So you get that, and then you can just push them out to full screen, and that is exactly where you want them.
Yeah.
Rainwater helps out a lot in situations like that. It is a very nice addition to his kit. It's just, again, just like Snail, don't be an idiot with it, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Sure. Don't throw it out like carelessly, basically.
Right. And going into the bread and butter. So that move that you saw on that little counter hit confirm, this is the big boy stuff. So you got Rensengeki. This is the money maker. It is a charge move, so you do have to hold back or down back for a little bit in order to do it. But it goes full screen. It is one of the higher priority projectiles in the game. It doesn't beat everything, like Nagaryuki's Gamma Blade that he does, where he sends out the clone. There you go. It just went right through that gunflame. Nagaryuki's Gamma Blade, where he sends out the clone, just goes right through it, just completely nullifies it. Ramlethal's Sword Throw also goes right through it. It's mainly just like the really big priority projectiles that somebody has to use a resource for.
Gotcha.
But that aside, it is one of the highest priority projectiles in the game. Got 3 hits on it, which helps out a lot. Like if Leo is throwing fireballs at you, just plows right through it because it's multiple hits. If Potemkin is trying to hammerfall on you or something like that, just use his armor. He only has 1 hit of armor, so you can do Rensen, and it plows right through it. It helps out a lot. And it's just like a really, really strong space creator. And also, since it pushes them out so far, like you're gonna be safe like most of the time whenever you do it. But one of the things that they did do to it was in previous games you would do Rensen and it would just come out immediately. But in this game, because his zoning capabilities are so much stronger, he's got like that little bit of startup to it. I think it's like 10 frame startup around that ballpark. Excuse me. So if you're going into this game and you played Axl in previous games, you definitely need to kill that muscle memory of just like using Rensen all the time. Like that killed me for probably the entire first month of the game.
Yeah. Just
because Rensen was so strong in prior games, and now it is still very strong, but it functions a whole lot differently.
Sure.
So that's gonna be the moneymaker, and the big thing about Rensen is its follow-ups. So you have the initial 3-hit projectile, pushes them out a whole lot, and It's really strong, but he also has follow-ups to it. So he has the up follow-up, which pulls them in. That's the move you were talking about before.
Yeah.
This Rensen 8 is very, very strong because if somebody's trying to jump in at you, like over your Rensen or something like that, you can just pull them in. And because of how Strive works, if you block something in the air, it's a lot more block stun that you got to deal with. Mm-hmm. I think it's base 11-ish frames of block stun, and it increases the higher up you are. So Axl pulling you in like this, you can't hit a button on him because he's gonna be super plus.
Right.
And depending on how high up they block it, then he's gonna be even more plus.
And as an example, that counter hit popped up as soon as I landed everything. That was even doing Soul's 5K, which is a 3-frame startup. So
right.
Yeah, it just goes to show how advantageous Axl actually is in that situation.
Yeah, and if you're faultless defensing it in air, which most people will probably do because it negates ship damage, it's going to be even more block stun, and so he's going to be a lot more plus off of that, and he can like I did 5K, which is his fastest move. 5K is his jab, and it's 6-frame startup. That is the fastest move that he has. But if somebody like faultless defenses it from high up enough, then I could probably frame trap them with close slash or something like that. Something a bit slower, but you get a lot more reward off of it.
Right.
So Rensen 8 definitely a move that you want to remember is in your arsenal, and if they actually get hit by it, which this move, so this is kind of a rule for the entirety of Axl's special moves. So when I throw out Rensen, you see, let me back up full screen. So when I do Rensen 8, you see that the sickle part of his weapon, that's got like this green glow to it. That area, that's going to be where the hitbox is. Everything between that is going to be a dead zone. So if like somebody like Soul is just running up on me, then like right there, it just completely whiffed. Mm-hmm. Because he was too close.
Right.
So that's kind of like the general rule for the entirety of his special moves is the hitbox is going to be in the general area of that green glow of his sickle. So you definitely want to know your ranges and know how your dead zones work. Mm-hmm. So that's Rensen 8. The other one, Rensen 2. You hold down after you do it, and he kind of does this. He does this whirly bird with his chain, and if you're close up, then like, see, that's not gonna work. But if they're close up, then you go into Rensen 2, and that works. And it puts you in a really advantageous position. Like you get the knockdown, you're right up in their grill, and you have a little bit of advantage there, so you can kind of push what little mix up the character has from close up.
Gotcha. Now, quick question. Now, you said Rensen 8 and then Rensen 2. Is the 8 and 2 in reference to the directional input you got to hit to get the follow up?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
So Rensen 8, that would be you do Rensen and then you hit up. And then Rensen 2, you would do Rensen and then you would hit down.
Gotcha.
And Rensen 2, this isn't something that you really want to rely on, but it does have a vacuum effect on it. And he spins it for longer the longer you hold 2. So see, you can kind of suck them in like that, and like if they're like, oh, I think it's gonna end right now, so I'm gonna go in and hit a button, and they just get clocked. it's just like that, and it also hits low. So if somebody is like trying to walk forward or something, then you can snipe them with that. Obviously, not something that you really want to rely on. But if you're kind of in this area right here, then it definitely helps to have that little bit of vacuum on it, and you can do some really jank interactions with it.
Yeah, it kind of showed like how long that move actually lasts. I mean,
yeah,
dude, it definitely goes for quite a while.
Yeah, like I've been holding it down this entire time, so I'm just gonna do Rinsen 2, and I'm just gonna tap the down button. See, it lasted probably like 50-60% of the time.
Yeah.
So I hold it down like that, and it just lasts like forever. So that's a really strong move to kind of gimmick people out if they're not expecting it. But mainly, that obviously it is just a gimmick, so you don't want to rely on it. But if you're in that kind of close area, or if you're in the corner, which would put you in that close range, then you can just do it, and there you go. You got your combo ender, and you can get a little bit of an OTG off of it, so you can do stuff like that. You can get the same thing off of Rinsen 8 as well when you suck them in. You get that OTG situation, and then you can either go in for what is my favorite thing to do personally. You go for the OTG, and then you do a delayed 6H, and that is a true meaty. It makes you super plus, but you do like you can hit a button after it if they block it, because it's not really a mix up, because it's always gonna hit high, but you do get the plus frames after it. Now you do need to be careful about it, because like I said, his fastest normal is 6 frames. So if you're going up against a character like Soul, who his slash DP is super duper fast, so you got to be careful with characters like him, because if they block the meaty 6H and then you try to frame trap them with a 5K, if it's a character like Soul, then he can just DP it, and then that sucks. You got knocked down against Soul.
Gotcha.
So it's a nice thing to have, but sometimes you kind of have to know when to actually push the frame trap and when not. So like right there, I held back and I didn't actually hit a button. That's what you have to do if you're going up against a character like Soul. Because they will let that DP rock, and you get knocked down, and it's a very bad position to be in.
Now, if they block your 6H, are you far away enough to where, like, if they try to throw you're still safe?
Yeah, you will still be safe, and you are at advantage. So even though throws are really fast, you'll be just slightly far enough away to where you can do your 5K or something like that, something with a little bit of range on it. And if they try to do a throw, then you're not going to be right next to them, so it's not going to work out.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that's Rinsen 2, and that's like the OTG situation that you get. You also get different kind of stuff. Like you can do something like this. You can do close slash OTG, and then something like that, like IAD into JH or something like that. Or if you want to stay a little bit, if you want to like stay further out, if you want to kind of stay further out, then you can do something like that. You can instant air dash backwards and throw out that JS, and obviously that's not like an airtight thing. Like again, a character like Soul, they can DP that because your chain hurt box will be out there. But it is another option that you have. That's kind of the whole thing with this character is he has a lot of different options off of situations like that. But it's not a one-size-fits-all thing because of the way his chains and stuff like that work. He will be able to get hit if the opponent sniffs out that you're just doing the same setup over and over and over again.
Okay.
So with all that said, this is the last Rensen follow-up. This is a brand new one that they added in this game. So you do Rensen S, and he does that explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Now that explosion, this is very, very good. But as you can see, he blows it up at like full screen, like at the very edge of the screen. It will only hit there. So if they are anywhere near you, then this will not hit.
It looks like that was crossing up too, because I was holding down back the entire time and I got hit a couple times.
Yeah, it acts kind of weird, but for the most part, it will just be like a thing that you do to keep them in check from full screen or a combo ender. So there's actually 2 different versions of this move. So you can delay the hell out of that move.
Mm-hmm.
And if you delay it, then delay it too much. If you delay it, then he does his signature yes, and it's a much bigger explosion. So if I just do the regular one, then that's actually negative. I think it's like -6 or something like that. Not obviously you're full screen, so you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
Right.
But you will be able to start moving forward. But if I do the full delay version, then I think he's +3 or +4, something like that. He is plus, and he can kind of keep his stuff going from there. And also, if you just do like a regular old combo ender into it, like you do something like you just do something like that, just like trying to push them out. You can delay it, and if they're not blocking on wake up, then it will catch them.
Yeah.
It can hit like super duper meaty. So if they're not paying attention to which one that you actually use, because in that situation, the regular one will combo, but you do this one and it's super delayed, so he does have the option of either just going with the combo ender and just getting the damage, or dropping the combo at just the Rensen hitting and then trying to go for a frame trap, or just trying to get a whole lot of plus frames.
Mm. Yeah, as I say, it looks like it does a pretty good chunk of damage too.
Yeah, it is a very, very beefy move, especially the full delay version. The timing is a little bit weird. And if you hit with the full delay version, then you can actually just if you're fast enough, then you can just go in with another Rensen and then get a combo ender. You can either do Rensen S, or you can do Rensen 8 and pull them in closer to you, and then you get that OTG situation that I was talking about before.
Right.
So this is definitely one of the new favorite moves for Axl players, because it just, there are so many different things that you can do with it just because of the delay, just because of the delay, how long or short you can delay it, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
So Rensen is just overall, those are that's Rensen and the 3 follow-ups to it. Between all of them, you can definitely, no matter what range you're at, you can definitely deal with anything at any range. You just need to pick the right one in order to actually do it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it sounds like mixing up which options to use out of those and everything is pretty key too. To either keep your opponent off balance and trying to figure out which one you're going to utilize, and then obviously using those two in reaction to what your opponent may want to do as well.
Right, and there's also a mix-up in just not doing a follow-up at all. You can just do Rensen, and then somebody's expecting the max delay explosion or something like that, and so they're blocking, and then you can gimmick them with the next special move that I'm going to talk about. So this move is replacing Rashosen, which was a staple Axl move, I think, since Guilty Gear X. I think he got it in Guilty Gear X. And that was also a command grab. But he kind of, using this game's Rensen as an example, it basically worked just like that. It had the delay on it, and it just shot out directly from him. It was similar to that. Obviously, it didn't go as fast as Rensen just went. But that was kind of how the command grab worked before. In earlier games, in pre-Xrd, he did get a Rashosen feint, so you could do Rashosen and then you could hit P, and he would do the startup, and then he would immediately pull it back. So you could do some fake outs with that by just pretending that you're gonna go for the command grab. You pull it back, and then they're trying to jump because they want to jump the command grab, and then you snipe them out of the air with 5P or 6K or something like that.
Right.
In XR, they did take away the Rashosen feint, but because YRC was in that game, granted, you had to spend resources on it, but you could do Rashosen YRC, and then if they jumped, then you could do the exact same thing. It just requires a little bit of resources. But this command grab is very different. It starts up from full screen. So whereas before it would shoot out from Axl himself, now it shoots out from the edge of the screen. And obviously with his enhanced zoning capabilities in this game, that's very good, because you want them to be at full screen. At all times, you're just pestering them with the Rensens and the explosions and stuff, and then you just clothesline them because they're not expecting the command grab.
Right.
And there are a few little setups that you can do to make it to do full screen tick throws, which is a really wild concept. But he does get a little bit of stuff where he can do full screen tick throws. We'll get into that later once we're done kind of talking about the special moves and everything. But this move, I love this move. His new command grab is very, very nice. He doesn't get a whole lot of damage off of it, but it does put them close enough, and you can get the OTG, and then you can go into delayed Rensen to catch them when they're getting up, or you can just do stuff like that. Or you could just not do the OTG at all, and you can just run in on them, because it is a pretty long knockdown on it. So you can just run up on them and then do whatever. Now this move, obviously it is very seeable from full screen, because whereas it does come from full screen, but when I do it, he's gotta shoot his chain into the ground, so he's got the little ripples in the ground.
Yeah.
On some stages, it's really hard to see, and it sucks. But if you're expecting your opponent who's playing Axl to go for the command grab, then you just look at the ground. You just look at the ground and you see that you see the little ripples on the ground from the earth kind of getting shaken up, and then you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna jump it, and then I'm gonna get a combo off of it, because it does have quite a bit of whiff recovery, being a command grab. So there are definitely counterplays to it, but because he's so good at keeping you in check when you take to the air from full screen, it's a tough mix-up to deal with, because if you're at opposite ends of the screen, then it's like, oh, is he gonna throw a Rensen at me and do one of the follow-ups, or is he gonna try to grab me?
Right.
It's a tough mix-up to be in, but it is definitely seeable, because one of the big things, whereas before with Roshosen, it wasn't a very good command grab, but it did benefit from looking similar to Rensen, just a little bit slower. But in this game, you got that start up to Rensen, and then you got that start up to the command grab. They look very different. So if you actually pay attention to what animation he's doing, you'll be like, okay, I need to block, or okay, I need to jump.
Right.
So it's very seeable, but it's really rough and to defend against, and on account of it being a special move, he can cancel into it. So if somebody is like trying to jump in on you or something, then you can snipe them out of the air with like a 5P or something, and they block it, but you go for the command grab. And they're not really expecting that, because they're in the air, so they're not paying attention to the ground really.
Right.
So that's a very common thing that you will see from Axl's, and you're put in the same mix-up, because he can also do 5P into Rensen, and that's a hit. So if you try to jump it, then you're gonna get hit. So it's a very kind of potent mix-up that you're put in off of that, and it's a much better move than Roshosen was before. Last thing about it, I don't think that this is super practical, but it is something that you need to pay attention to. If you do it from directly in front of the opponent, I think there's a little bit of leeway to it. Like, I think if I do it right here, then it'll still give it to me. If it hits from up close, then he will do a different animation, and he'll go straight into Axl Bomber, which is going to be our next special move that we talk about. Probably the most important one. So obviously, since it starts up from full screen, you're not going to get this all that often, but you do get a combo if it does end up happening. So if on the off chance they do end up getting caught from close up, and you get the Axl Bomber follow up, then you got to be ready to get that combo. And it's a pretty beefy one too. Like, I'm just gonna do like a basic one right here. Oh, I was a little bit far away, but just something like that. Like, it's a pretty decent little chunk of damage for no meter, and you get put in that mix up. Like, his entire kit revolves around, like, is he gonna do this? Is he gonna do that? He just has a bunch of different options that you can go into out of that.
Yeah, I learned something new with the fact he can. I didn't realize that his animation changed if it hit up close like that and everything with the command grab. Now, one other quick question with the command grab, because of the fact it does like hit from all the way back here, right? And I wasn't gauging the time interval, but if they are up close to you like that, because the command grab aspect of it starts from behind, does it take longer for the command grab to activate because the chain's got to travel back to him?
It does. That's why I don't think that the up close variant is all that practical, because it does take a very long time for the chain to come back, because it starts up from full screen, and like that was probably like 25 frames of startup, 25-30 frames of startup. And even if you're not like at true full screen, like if you're right about here, it does still have a little bit more startup than if you were both at complete opposite ends of the screen, like with your back up against the screen boundary.
Sure.
So that's why you will mostly see Axl players do it when you are in that situation, completely on opposite ends of the screen, because that is the fastest startup to it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a very strong option to have, but it's jump startup works really strangely in this game. Like you could still be on the ground, but if you are in jump startup, the command grab will still whiff. So that's one big thing that you need to keep in mind. It's very strong, but there's a lot of counterplay to it.
Gotcha.
So with that said, here's our last special move that we got to talk about. Don't worry about that. I messed it up. I'm gonna do it. There you go. Axl Bomber. So that move is 623 H in the air, which is a Dragon Punch motion. And like it would kind of be like your basic combo ender. Like I'll just do like some whack. I'll just do some whack dust combo here. Like you could do some stuff like that. Obviously, don't do that dust combo because it's not very good. But that's just kind of like how it's quote unquote intended to be used. But that's not how people actually use it.
Right.
The strongest aspect of Axl Bomber is the fact that you can Tiger Knee it. Tiger kneeing is doing an input in such a way that you do an aerial special move as soon as you leave the ground. Like as soon as you actually jump, then you do it. So something like that. That was a little bit slow, but it's something like that.
Right.
So Axl Bomber, he has had Tiger Knee Bomber ever since like his very inception, except for Guilty Gear 1 because he didn't have that. But we don't talk about that yet.
No.
So
that was a very different Axl at that time.
Yeah, it was a very different Axl. But ever since he kind of found his identity, he has always had Tiger Knee Bomber, and it has always been a very, very integral part of his kit. Like I was saying, you'll love using Snail, you'll love using Rensengeki and stuff like that. But Axl Bomber is the most important special move that you have, just because of the different things that you could do out of it. So the biggest thing that Axl has always had is he has had bomber loops. So I'm gonna do a bomber loop, just straight up, and then I'll kind of explain how it works after I actually do the loop. I messed it up a little bit. I messed up the last one, but that's kind of how you're supposed to do it. You do a normal that is jump cancelable, and then while you're doing that normal, you're buffering whatever your Tiger Knee input may be. Personally, I do the full 360 input. It's just the most consistent for me, but there are other ways you can do it. You can do 9-6-2-3, so you just jump forward and then you do the Dragon Punch input. You can do 6-2-3-9, same thing, except you're jumping after you do the actual input. There are a bunch of different ways that you can actually do that input. It just kind of depends on which one feels the most natural for you.
Right, that's the most comfortable.
Right. So you want to do a jump cancelable normal, you're buffering your Tiger Knee bomber, and then when you actually get the hit and you get the jump cancel, then you let it rock, and they will it sends them high up enough in the air to where you will land long before your opponent will, and then you can juggle into a normal, usually 5K or close slash, depending on how high up they are. And then after that, you do the exact same thing. You do your normal. You're buffering that input. Then you just do it again. That has always been a very, very integral part of Axl's game plan, and it's no different in this game. The routes that he has are much different in this game as opposed to Xrd or Accent Core or something like that. But it is still his most important move, and that is where his damage actually comes from. You can pester people from full screen with Rensen and command grab and stuff like that. But if you get that hit, then bomber loops are going to be your damage.
Yeah, so I know like when he did one raw, it did like almost. I think it did like almost 25%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 20%.
Yeah, it does 78, and that's a lot of damage just doing one regular. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I'm warmed up enough to where I can actually get the full loop.
Oh, you almost had it.
Yeah, almost. That's the that's the thing in this game. It's even Dust Loop wiki page for Axl for JH. It's like it says something like it's just talking about all of its strengths. It's like for jumping in, or if they're right underneath you, blah blah blah, or for letting your opponent know that you messed up a Tiger Knee bomber. That's the big thing. That will be the button that comes out.
Yep. I got the wall spot.
Yeah, I was a little bit too high up for that, but it's just something like that. What you can actually do, and
but I mean, just off that loop alone, you've almost did 50% health.
Right,
and that's
meterless.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's on Soul, and that's meterless. You can, you might be able to get 4 in this game, but as far as I know, 3 TK bombers is the best that you can get, mostly because of how the wall works.
Right.
The wall health will only last long enough for you to be able to do 3. But again, it also depends on how low you actually did it and how high up they get sent. Things like that. Like I'm gonna purposely do one a little bit later, and I'm gonna just mash 5K, and it is probably not gonna work. See, I got the OTG hit.
Right.
So in a situation like that, if you're a little bit slow on your Tiger Knee, then you gotta kind of engage how fast your button's gonna come out and whether or not that's actually gonna get the juggle. So if you do it slow, then maybe. Like, this is a thing that comes as you play Axl a whole lot, and you kind of just come to terms with like how he works and how his moves affect the opponent and stuff like that. But if you acknowledge that you hit it a little bit slow, then Axl Bomber is a hard knockdown, and hard knockdowns are very good in this game. So if you notice that you did it a little bit slow, just go for a mix-up. Don't even try to do the loop, because it will not be very good if you do a slow TK bomber and then you're like, oh, I got the TK bomber, I'm gonna try to juggle them with 5K, and then you end up getting the OTG and it just kills all your momentum. Even worse, if you fully commit to it and you get the OTG 5K, and then you just go into Axl Bomber again, because that's gonna whiff and you're gonna die. Yeah. I've done that a couple of times. It sucks.
From experience.
Yeah, from experience. Don't do that. It sucks. But if your execution ends up lacking a little bit, then just kind of as you play more Axl, then you'll notice that you did it too slow, and then you just go in with the mix-up. And that he doesn't get a whole lot of a mix-up, but you can at least put them in a situation where they gotta block stuff, and then you could probably get a pretty decent hit out of it. And then you can, if you get a decent enough hit, then you can just do it again. You can just go for another bomber loop, and maybe this time you'll be able to do it a little bit faster.
Gotcha. All right.
So TK Bomber and Axl Bomber in general, that is the most important move in his kit.
Yeah.
Your favorite move will probably end up being either Snail or Rensen, but your most important move is Axl Bomber. Know it, learn it, love it. It's gonna get you through a whole lot.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely pretty informative when it comes to that move in particular. Especially, it's a different move because, like you said, you got to be in the air and you got to do the DP motion for it and everything. But I mean, just the payoff for knowing what to do with that move and knowing when to use it and everything is pretty high, especially for Axl's case, for sure. All right, well, before we start going into kind of like final thoughts and wrap up mode, let's go ahead and go over his supers. He has 2 supers.
Yep. Yeah, so he has 2 supers in this game. The Shark Strike from previous games is not here anymore. It got replaced with something else. So I'll get the basic one out of the way. Double quarter circle forward plus H is going to be Sickle Storm. This is your reversal. This is your only reversal. This move is invincible. So if somebody tries to pressure you or something, you will do that move and then you will get them off you. It does pretty decent damage, and it pushes them back to basically full screen, and you could just get your stuff going from there. So you just get like the knockdown from there, and then Brenton, you could like do the delay or something like that.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, with it being a double quarter circle forward motion and everything, that obviously is a good reversal to throw out to keep people honest when you have meter.
Right.
Because it is a simpler input to throw out.
Yeah, it's they did actually change the input in this game. Before it was it's been a little while since I touched Exards, so I'm not sure which one it was. It was either
half back?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was either half circle back forward plus H, or it was quarter circle back, half circle forward plus H. It was one of those two. Mm-hmm. And obviously those inputs are a lot harder to get out in a pinch than double quarter circle forward. So right. There's not a whole lot to that move. It's just it's your reversal. You're gonna learn to love it, just because it's the only thing that you have besides universal system mechanics to actually get somebody off you. So for counterplay, because this move, when you block it, I believe it is only -2, -1 or -2, and it pushes you back, so you're not going to be able to punish him. But if you actually end up blocking Sickle Storm, it's got 2 hits. It's got like 2 parts to it. So it's got that part where he makes that ring around himself, ring of fire around himself, and then he's got the part where he shoots it forward. So those aren't there's a gap in there. So if you're blocking it, if you block the ring of fire part, then you can jump forward on him, and you will be able to get to him while he's shooting out the flames. See, and then you can get a big punish off of that. Mm-hmm. So don't let if you bait out Sickle Storm, don't let Axl's just like run rampant with it and catch you slipping on your on just not knowing the matchup and not knowing the frame data. So
right. That's good enough.
That's the simple one out of the way. So now we have his brand new super. It is half circle back, forward, plus punch. This is one vision. It's brand new. So when you initially do it, it puts him in this install state. I believe it lasts for like 5 seconds, around there. So you see like that purple glow around him. That means that he is in that install state. It's not like when people think Guilty Gear and they think installs, they're thinking Dragon Install. It is not like Dragon Install. It does not buff you in any way. You are still Axl. You just happen to have that in the back pocket. So if you do it and then you do the input again, he'll stop time. The time stop lasts for about 2 seconds. It's about 2 to 2.5 seconds. So that actually it is full screen, and it functions as a hit. So if you do it and your opponent is blocking, it won't work. You just wasted 50% of your bar.
Right.
So generally, the way people kind of use One Vision is they'll get a knockdown, and then they'll pop it just so they have it, just so like they have it safely, and then hold down back for me. So then they'll do something like that. That was I did RC. That was nice. So they can do like an instant overhead and then pop it, and then you get a mix up into your time stop. And you can, and another really strong thing is because of that is like you got this kind of like sitting in your back pocket. So you can just do like dusts and stuff on people, and like they'll be too scared of the time stop to like actually like hit buttons or something like that, and then they'll get caught by the dust. Obviously, you don't want to rely on that, but the fear of getting opened up by one hit and then just getting a full time stop combo, that is a very real fear.
Yeah.
So you can kind of run with that. It's kind of like you're playing a grappler, where you're the threat of your command grab is so strong that you just hold on to it. You don't even do the command grab, and they're just so scared of it that they'll just get antsy. It's the same thing with One Vision. Obviously, it's a little bit different because you don't just have access to it at all times. But it's kind of the same general game plan. And the way it actually works is like you pop it, and then like because it's time stop, they will be stuck in there no matter what you're actually hitting them with. You won't like knock them away or anything. So only the last move that he does before the time actually stops, that's the momentum that they'll be sent away with.
Gotcha.
It's not like an RC or something like that, where yes, time is slowed, but your moves will still have like a visible effect on them. You pop the time stop, and then during the duration of that, they're just gonna stay there. So you can get some really really cool combos with that. So One Vision is definitely it's got a bit of a high skill ceiling on it, both in terms of its usage as well as what you can actually do combo wise after you actually pop it. But if you put in the time and you like learn your mix-ups into it, you learn your combos out of it and stuff like that, it's a really strong option that you can use your meter on and get a whole bunch of stuff that no other character can get.
Yeah, you could also use that in dust situations too, right? If you launch someone with dust,
you can. Yeah, I personally haven't actually practiced the dust combos with One Vision, but you can definitely just like you go up here, JD, you pop it, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
You can definitely pop it in the middle of that combo. Now, granted, like you just saw, if they're still in the time stop and you end up moving. If they're still in the time stop and you end up double tapping, so you get like the dust knockdown, it won't work. It'll whiff because they're still in the time stop. So when you actually use it in a dust situation, you want to get your quote-unquote impossible combo off while the time stop is going, and then after that, once time has resumed again, then you go for the dust knockdown.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's good to know. There'll be some good stuff.
Like I said, it's a very weird normal, or it's a very weird super. No other character has anything like that in this game, and it's brand new even for us Axl players. He never had this type of thing before.
Sure.
So it'll definitely take a little bit of time to actually get used to, and a lot of practice. But once you actually are able to incorporate it into your game plan, is a very, very strong option to have.
Gotcha. So kind of summarizing everything, and then we'll do like a wrap up, and share your final thoughts on the character and everything. When it comes to learning and playing Axl, know your ranges, know your normals and the ranges that they cover, especially with the fact that there's dead spaces in his normals. Same mindset as well with his specials. Use Renson as much as you can, because that's kind of like his go-to as far as like what he wants to utilize, especially with the different follow-ups where you can kind of mix up while still pestering from full screen. And if you have access to it and you need to absolutely use it as your get-off move, your quarter circle forward heavy slash, double quarter circle forward heavy slash super is what you want to utilize to get someone off you if you think they're going to pressure you like crazy.
Yeah, it's like when you're just starting off with Axl, the biggest thing is just learning all those ranges that you can deal with, what normal affects what range, and just getting comfortable with all of his normals, because his normals are very weird, but they all do their job. Like 5K, it's not a very good jab, but it is your jab, so you need to get accustomed to actually using it as a jab. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's already different in itself there as well, where like, obviously with the exception of a couple characters, but we're typically where their fastest normal is like the 5P or stuff like that. In Axl's case, if you need a good poke, that's his fastest normal 5K is what to utilize.
Yep. And a couple little small things that I didn't mention when we were talking about normals. Keep your 2K in mind. Not only is it a very fast low, it is only 1 frame lower than 6K or 5K, so it is 7 frames. Okay. But it is also, historically, it is probably the second best low profile in the series behind Souls 2D. This move will low profile anything. If Kai is sitting at full screen throwing stun edges at you, you just 2K and you just go under it.
Interesting. Good to know.
In Xrd, you could do stuff like if you baited out somebody's burst, you could 2K right underneath it, and then you could get a full combo. So that's kind of, the sky's the limit on the type of stuff that you can go under with 2K. And also a very, very small thing, but it's a little bit of optimization that you can do. All of his chain normals, if you actually hit with the tip of the move, it'll do more damage because you're hitting them with the chain or with the cycler. So like, I'll do 5P from like around here. It does 39, but if I do it from the tip, it does
51.
it does significantly more. So that's not really something that like will make or break your matches. But if you are able to set up those tipper hits, then that damage will definitely start to add up, and you can start doing some real damage to them.
Yeah, because that alone right there was like 12 extra points of damage, which eventually, and especially in this game, will add up quite a bit. So
and that's only the 5p. If you do beefier things like Tipper 2S, if you get Tipper 2S counter hit, like they're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
That's a really basic combo, but that's a thing that it pushes them back to full screen. It did 100 damage, which is not too bad at all. And if you want to like actually optimize it, do a much better combo, then you can do that. You get a bunch of damage, and you'll probably get a mix-up.
Gotcha. All right, good stuff, man. It's a lot of good information, I think, especially with Axl, and some things, especially with how often I've fought your Axl and everything. It's some things I learned as well with the characters. So, with that said, any other final thoughts you want to share before we start wrapping things up?
Yeah, I'll give my overall thoughts on the character, and then I'm gonna try to hit you with a really cool combo.
To kind of wrap up, I like it.
Yeah. So Axl in this game, he is much different from how he functioned before. The same general game plan will be there, but because of how they've changed his normals and most of all his special moves, you will have to play him a little bit differently. Like before, you could definitely go for a more aggro type of Axl, which is how I played him in Xrd. I knew when to back off, but I really liked getting in there and just like pestering people. But in this game, it is much harder to actually rush in on somebody. Like obviously he will. There are situations where if you're close up, you could get some really cool stuff. Like I've mentioned a couple times, doing the 5K or the close slash, jump cancel into the instant overhead JH, stuff like that. You can't do that for full screen, obviously. Mm-hmm. So being up close is good sometimes. I think that's one of the biggest things with new Axl players. They're like, oh, I don't have very many good up close options, so I'm just gonna stay at full screen all the time, and I'm just gonna, like, if they get in, then I die. And to a degree, that is true, but you're not defenseless when you're up close, and sometimes you do want to be up close. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind. Just sometimes being up close is okay.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Good stuff to keep in your back pocket when it comes to, learning Axl and what you want to do with them. So, all right, I know you want to try to show off a particularly, I guess the proper term would be what? Drip combo? Is that what we're going to go with?
yeah, we can call it the drip combo.
All right, we'll go with that. But before you do, tell people where they can find you, especially if they want to hit you up for more Axl information.
Yeah, so I stream a lot over here on Twitch. I don't really stream this game a whole lot, but if you enjoy like RPGs and character action games like Devil May Cry and stuff like that, then definitely come on through. And if you want to talk about fighting games, then yeah, I'm cool with talking about fighting games. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. So come on over there. It's a chill time. You can also find me over on Twitter, same name, DiverDownFGC. I post a whole lot about Yakuza, and and every once in a while I'll post like clips and combos and stuff from Guilty Gear and other fighting games that I'm currently playing. And same rule over there. If you want to hit me up and you want to talk about fighting games, absolutely. And that is also the easiest place to hit me up for games. If you like, I am usually down to play people in games. So if you wanna get the Axl, if you wanna get the Axl experience, then go on over there, shoot me a tweet, shoot me a DM, and just ask for games, and yeah, I'll probably be down.
There you go. That's where you can find them. DiverDownFGC, both on Twitter and also on Twitch. Make sure you check them out. Puts out some good stuff. So, all right, let's see this drip combo. We're gonna see how much editing I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah, right.
So let's see if you can hit this drip combo.
Good start.
Yeah.
Good start. This combo is a little bit hard because you do have to get the quick RC after you do that initial Axl bomber.
Yeah.
And doing that online is a little bit rough.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe like after the reset too, maybe give it a little bit of time before like resetting because of the rollback. If anything, this does show like how tight the input window that this has in order to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, it's actually doing like the regular corner bomber loop. It's not super bad, but this one, because you need to do the RC drift into fast RC and actually do the bomber input fast enough to where you're still on the same side. Because if you wait too long, then you're gonna cross them up and you're gonna end up getting the aerial version of Snail. It's a lot of working parts, but it does do a lot of damage if you are actually able to like get it down consistently. Which again, I haven't yet. I just learned it. I did it, boys.
There we go.
It took us a minute, but we did it, boys.
Yeah, and even on that wall splat, you could have done super and then be able to get the knockdown and stuff like that and everything too.
Yeah, that combo, you can definitely do super. It's a really expensive super combo to do, because if you spend super, then you're spending the entirety of your meter. Granted, you are doing over 280 damage, so it is worth it. But if you do the super ender, you don't actually get a whole lot of damage, extra damage, but you do get that hard knockdown, so you can get your stuff going from there.
Nice. All right, man. Good stuff. You definitely gave me a little editing that I got to do, but it's all good.
It'd be like that.
Still appreciate the time and you hopping on here and showcasing what Axl can do. So. Again, everyone, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for hanging out and stuff like that. And, yeah, with that said, that's going to conclude this. The YouTube version of this video will be up sometime end of this week. And, yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking it out. And we'll check you next time. Take care and be easy.